at the Griffin's Nest. Welcome, this is Mytho Beata, your hostess, and we are about to get started with continuing Hocus Pocus 2. We are starting with the chapters, Basic Witch, through The Witch's Back, and that should be 2 chapters, if I'm looking at it correctly. Hang tight, we're about to get the party started. Alrighty, thank you so much for your patience. Without further ado, let's go ahead and do this. Oh, I gotta raise it up just a little smidge. There we are. Hello, light. There you are. How we looking? Looking good? Alright, how we looking? My supervisor, Fireface here, over there watching chat on the big screen, and she's just barely out of view. Let's see if you guys can see. There we go. Alright, so she's wanting pets also as well. Would like a little bit of love and attention, some brushes. I'll see what I can do to accommodate. After all, I can't be a multitasker if I'm not a multitasker. Welcome back to the Griffin's Nest. If this is your first time here, my name is Mytho Beata. I am the hostess of this stream, and we have been reading the story Hocus Pocus 2 from, along with the all-new sequel. This book, if you've seen it in your stores, I highly recommend grabbing this copy. Fun fact, I grabbed it back when it was brand new at a store, and this was back in 2020, right before the pandemic. I've been telling people I've known about it since 2018, which I have, but when I found it in person, it was right before I was about to go on lockdown with the pandemic, and I knew that one day I was going to be wanting to read it. So, lo and behold, people were surprised when they found out that this past year they were bringing out Hocus Pocus 2. I have not yet seen Hocus Pocus 2. I am trying to charge through the book, and that's when I had the idea to read the stream. I try to stream as much as I can, and at this point we are about 6 chapters into the second book. We already finished the first one. If you'd like to hear the reading of the first one, be sure to check out my previous VODs, appropriately labeled. I have rated this stream rated PG, considering some of the themes that are a bit on the progressive side, trying to line up with what Disney has going for the precautionary measures. Honestly, all things considered, I was looking back on it, probably should have done the same for Hocus Pocus 1. But I did not. Let's move forward for the time being. Anyway, still learning things without trying to give myself too many spoilers. I think I'm doing okay so far. So if you've not seen the first movie, I highly recommend watching the movie. And if you've seen both already, please refrain from any spoilers in chat. I hope you will enjoy this unique perspective from Poppy Daniels, which is the main character. In this book, it is from first-person perspective, from her perspective. And I was working with a family last night, 3 really wonderful children. The middle one said she's seen both, and I asked her, does Poppy in fact have a crush on the other lady? the other young lady, the classmate. And she said yes. I was not surprised. I was rather relieved just to know that. And she was respectful not to give away too much information after that. This was her first year watching Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2. So, she was kind of excited to share it with somebody, and I was excited to share it with her. Anyway, that said, I'm even more excited about seeing the movie, guys. Let's keep things going, okay? Remember, should anybody have anything to say in chat, please refrain from spoilers, as I said a moment ago. You can ask any questions or make comments along the way. I will not answer them until I have an appropriate break. And yeah, that said, everything else is seeming okay. I'm just making sure the soundbar, making sure you guys are not getting your ears blasted off. Everything looks okay. Okay, so settings I'm using for desktop audio, negative 22.0 dB, and for the mic right here, negative 9.0 dB. So that's more for a note for myself and also for you if you're wanting to do something like this and you're wondering what settings to use. If this sounds okay to you and good to you, by all means, duplicate it. Alright. Program I'm using? Stream Elements OBS. Excuse me, Streamlabs OBS. Streamlabs OBS. Stream Elements is my store. Alright, which is not relevant right now. Alright, without further ado, let's get to it. Let's see, we are almost 10 minutes into the stream. We had about 5 minutes of intro. Okay. And we are live. The next chapter on page 258. Basic Witch. With a nice pointy witch's hat as the image. I descended the stairs from my room to find the entry hall is already pretty full of guests. Huey, Dewey, and Louie chat with Mary Poppins in one corner, while a handful of adults dressed as different presidents are circled up in the adjoining room. I recognized 2 of the men from my mom's office, so I pin all of them as lawyers. I wouldn't put it past them to be discussing a case, but Mom will put an end to that if she sees it. Parties are for partying, she says. Everything else, I guess, is for work. I even spot Dad talking to Miss Chen. For her costume, she traded her staple black t-shirt for a white one, which is actually kind of hilarious. At the bottom of the stairs, I adjust the strap of my camera around my neck. I debated whether to bring it down with me, but it's kind of the best party accessory, because when conversations petered out, you can point at it apologetically and excuse yourself to take pictures in less awkward locations. Very smart. Or even fake taking pictures until you come up with an escape plan. Adina Jones and Patsy Roth, 2 girls from my grade, are standing at the treat table near Juan Jimenez, one of Travis's friends. Juan is dressed up as a young, hot vampire, and the girls are good and evil ballerina, respectively. One wearing heavy black eye makeup and a black tutu with red accents, and the other wearing a sparkling tiara and white tutu with silver accents. I walk over. Hey, I say. Thanks for coming. I feel a wave of gratitude towards them and the universe that they're the first kids from school at our party. It would be hard to pick an easier crowd. Cool mask, Poppy, says Adina. I love your hat, adds Patsy. Classic. Thanks, I say. These cookies are awesome. Oh, excuse me. Different person. These cookies are awesome, Juan says, around a bite. I laugh. Yeah, dark chocolate chip cookies are like the only things my mom bakes. Travis comes up behind me with an extra cup of cider, which I accept as I study his secret costume for the first time. A bloody unicorn horn spirals through one shoulder, and his lab coat is carefully scorched along the bottom hem. His coat is also dirtied by splotches of green and purple and yellow. A very realistic vampire bite drips fake blood down his throat. Oh my gosh. He's draped a stethoscope around his neck as well, as probably borrowed from his father, who's a PA. Mad scientist? I ask. Mythical creature researcher, he says proudly. I like him. He rips open his coat and all of us cower as if he's about to flash us. Instead, he reveals a black t-shirt with the middle ripped out and a horrible worm monster climbing out of his stomach. Adina actually screams when she sees it, then laughs nervously at herself. I need to feed, Juan shouts, grabbing Travis by the shoulders and going for the unmarked side of his neck with his mouth. The two of them exaggerate their wrestling, moving in a slow-motion fight as Travis eventually loses. The girls and I exchange smiles. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Principal Taylor let himself in without ringing the bell, which makes me tense since it means Katie can't be far behind. Remember, Tattletale Katie, well, she's the principal's daughter, and if you'll remember, the principal is Jay from the first movie and book that was a bit of a bully to Max Dennison, Poppy's father. He shuts the door behind him, though, so maybe she's showing up later with Jenny and the rest of their squad. Principal Taylor is wearing the ship captain's flat cap. A nod, I guess, to the historic lighthouse on Winter Island. My dad says Principal Taylor spends most of his weekends up at the lighthouse, where he serves as a volunteer mechanic and begrudgingly gives tours. When Principal Taylor spots Miss Chin and my dad, he seems to hesitate for a split second. But then he puts on a tight, forced smile and saunters over to join their conversation. I'm surprised Miss Principal Taylor is here, even if Mom and Dad invite all his colleagues. I'm shocked he's not at the lighthouse, I whisper. He can't turn down an invite from your mom, says Travis. I guess he's right. She does a lot for the PTA, including convincing her firm to sponsor school fundraisers and events. Principal Taylor would have known that an invite from my dad was really an invite from my mom. So, who else is coming tonight? Juan snags a pocket-marked ghost lollipop, one of mine. Oops. He quickly unwraps it and pops it into his mouth. I'm not totally sure, I say, looking away from Principal Taylor. Hopefully not Katie. But I know it's just a matter of time before she's here. Yeah, says Juan. I saw her messing with you in English today. What'd you do to draw her ear? I'm trying to come up with an excuse that doesn't involve resurrected witches when my mom saves me by sweeping down the stairs. She's wearing a chic black hat over a platinum blonde wig with long bangs and has a metallic blue lightning bolt painted across one side of her face. Her black dress is short and structured, and her hands are covered by studded fingerless motorcycle gloves. Mom? I ask, shocked. She's not normally a costume person either, but she's sure one-upped me. Who are you supposed to be? Oh my goodness, history does kind of repeat itself. I'll explain later, children. Gaga? Ooh la la, she says, striking a pose. When I just stare at her, she hesitates. Right? You look like Gaga in the best of ways, Mrs. Dennison, says Travis. Thank you, Travis, she says warmly. Have another cookie. She points to the adjoining room, where a few more of my classmates have trickled in without my noticing. Luckily, none of them is Katie. Poppy, why don't you start a game of charades? She asks me. The cards are on the coffee table. I don't know, I say. That sounds great. One gets in, noticing my mom's sharpening look before I do. I see what Travis means about people not being able to say no to her. Usually it just rolls right off me. I thought it'd be fun, she tells me as the others head over to the couch. But if it's not all that, you don't have to play. So many inside jokes from the 90s and 80s, and I'll stop there. I'm sure it'll be a blast, Mom, I tell her. Oh, your Aunt Danny called. She's running late. As usual, I say with a wry smile. Mom gives me one right back. We're both passionate about being punctual, unlike my dad and his sister. Mom takes my hand. You look beautiful, by the way, she says. I'd been so impressed with her costume that I'd forgotten to be self-conscious about mine. Yeah? I say, cringing. Travis got it for me. You don't think it's too witchy? It's perfect. Mom gives me a big kiss on the forehead. Now, go have fun. I head over to join the rest of my friends, surprised by my mom's reaction. Seeing both her and my dad in costume and unfazed by my witchy appearance, I wonder if maybe they don't dislike Halloween as much as I've always thought. Travis goes first in charades, crouching into a ball and then climbing out of it, stretching his arms and legs as far as they can go. "Creepy baby!" shouts Adina. "Poison ivy?" says Patsy. "Baby chicken," says Corey Brody, a tall, heavy-set kid who moved here a year ago and now takes chemistry with me. Tonight, he's dressed up as a top-hatted magician. Travis turns and leers at us, waving his hands to encourage more guesses. "Demon baby under an accelerated growth spurt," yells Patsy. Wrong voice. "Demon baby under an accelerated growth spurt," yells Patsy. He breaks character to stare at her. "Really, Patsy?" "No talking," chastises Juan. The timer beeps and Travis plops down on the couch beside me, frustrated. "Pumpkin," he says, shaking his head. "How is that a pumpkin?" says Juan. "I think the real question is, how wasn't that a pumpkin?" says Travis. The door opens and Katie and Jenny and the rest of their soccer friends come in as one big swarm. All 6 girls are dressed as zombie soccer players, which isn't terribly creative. A knot forms in my stomach. "I'm gonna go get more cider," I say to Travis, even though my cup is still half full. He gives me a worried look, but I put on my best smile and slip past the long staircase and into the kitchen. I'm finding that channeling Poppy Dennison, and I still need to go back and revisit see if I'm keeping her voice consistent, is it's taking a little bit of raspiness, so it's making me more thirsty and impromptu. So I apologize ahead of time for the more consistent than usual water breaks on stream. But let's keep it going. Thank you. I put on my best smile and slip past the long staircase and into the kitchen. I'm surprised to find Isabella here. When did she arrive? She's still in her Athena costume, the shield now strapped to her messenger bag. I'm even more surprised to find my mom here, and I'm mortified when I hear what she's saying. Remember, Isabella is who Poppy has a crush on, and she's dressed as Athena, the goddess of war and love? Wisdom? War and wisdom, I do believe. Greek mythology, I believe. Anyway, back to the point. Excuse me. I'm mortified, but when I hear what she's saying, "I don't know about the spirit board. I know it's a board game and all, but it's a blood moon tonight, which could amplify magic and psychic connections. Maybe you just play charades instead?" She sounds very concerned and disappointed and mom-like. "Duly noted, Mrs. Dennison. I just thought it'd be a festive game we could all play." My eyes land on a flimsy black and white cardboard box sitting on the counter between them, with the words "Summon Spirits from Beyond the Grave" emblazoned across the front in a dripping purple slime font. It's a cheesy spirit board. Isabella must have brought it as a fun Halloween-themed gag for the party, but Mom doesn't find the idea very fun at all, judging by the skeptical look she's giving it. "I'm not your mother," she tells Isabella, "and I won't tell you what to do, but I just want you to know that it could be very dangerous to tempt the spirits, even if it's through a cheap board game, especially tonight." I felt a wave of nausea so strong and sudden that I had to have summoned every bit of restraint I had not to unleash at least a few Halloweens worth of pent-up irritation on my mom. I wonder how long this chapter is. I'm not going to worry about it. For believing such wild things, for dragging me into it, for dragging my friends into it. Of all the Halloween parties in all of Salem, Sanderson Systems Superstition walks into mine and does one hell of a number on me already. Abysmal chances with the most interesting girl in school. "Isabella," I say loudly, snapping my mouth into a smile. "I'm glad you could come." They both turn to me. Isabella recovers quickly, grinning and coming over to give me a hug, hello, as I try not to spill cider on either of us. A warm, happy feeling pools in my stomach. You look amazing, Poppy, she says, stepping back. I love your costume. Over her shoulder, I give my mom my best "we talked about scaring people off" face. She shakes her head, displeased, picks up her cup of cider, and heads back to the party. It probably looks something like this. Something like that. I'm guessing. Sorry about that, I tell Isabella. She's superstitious, you know? Her story. No, I'm sorry, she says. I didn't mean to upset her with my spirit board. Honestly, I thought it'd just be a fun group game, but she caught me at the door and pulled me in here. I totally should have been more sensitive. I wasn't thinking. Isabella hesitates for a moment, worrying her bottom lip between her teeth. So, in other words, she was kind of biting her lower lip out of nervousness. You ever done that before? Like this? Sorry, I really messed that up, she laments. I gotta say I like her, though. She knows how to own up to her problems, like, as soon as it happens. Very cool. Very attractive. Very noble. Not exactly the first impression I wanted to make on your mom. She totally hates me now. She doesn't hate you, and it's okay. She's just extra jumpy tonight because of a blood moon, asks Isabella, an amused and understanding lilt in her voice. She smiles. Yeah, I got that. But if we were ever to test the merits of the... Well, hold on. Okay. But if we were to test the merits of a dollar store spirit board, tonight's the night, right? I say. I realize just how badly I must want to get out of this party if I'm playing into the Sanderson legend. But we can't open that box here. Field trip? Sanderson house? You guys see the parallels? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? She looks at me with wide eyes. Really? Yeah, I exclaim. I can't believe I'm saying this because my parents have always been so strict about the Sanderson house being forbidden. But Isabella looks so excited that in this moment I really don't care. She's clearly interested in the Sandersons, and I've never been to the Sanderson house. Why not tonight? I glance back through the open kitchen door into the main party of my own house and spot Katie breezing around the room as if she's the hostess of the party. She gives one startled classmate a hug, then takes another by the arm and whispers something in his ear. As she finishes, she looks over at me and smirks. His eyes follow hers. She does this again and again. Each time, I feel my willpower draining through my pores and puddling around my boots. Beats staying here and hanging out with Katie Taylor, I add. Whew. I look back at Isabella, who looks from me with withered spirit board box. We've hung out plenty, but rarely when Travis isn't around. Now alone with her, the energy feels next level. It's like there's something crackling between us. Ditching is pretty much at the top of the list of things I'd like to do right now, she confesses. Plus, Sanderson house on Halloween? Poppy, you're a genius. Great. Let me go get my jacket. I put a hand on the light, delicate fabric of her Greek goddess's sleeve. I'll come too, Isabella says, just in case you need backup. Thanks, I say. I feel like the worst is over. At least I hope it is. But as we walk back into the party room, I bump straight into Katie, nearly spilling my cider all over her. She steps back from the open kitchen door and smirks at me. Did Katie just hear everything we said about going to the Sanderson house? I'm kicking myself for not being more careful, but I tell myself I'm just getting paranoid and push the concern away. As we pass Travis and his friends, he looks from me to Katie, who's moved to the center of the room with her zombie soccer squad. She keeps laughing just loud enough and glancing my way so that I know she's trying to draw my attention. Why is she so awful? I asked Travis. You've been tailored, he says in a low voice. She always picks out the one person to make miserable. Have you ever been tailored? I glance from him to Isabella and back. I haven't, he says, but one was last spring because he rejected one of her defensive midfielders. Poor guy. Oh, okay. So if you need a translation for that, basically, I've seen this happen before. This is why I really don't like Katie so far. She gets there, and she starts taking all the attention from everybody, even though it's not her party. And she's making sure that Poppy, who's supposed to be the hostess, and is the owner of the house, or child of the owner of the house, see that I can take your party spotlight, and I can be the run of the show. And Travis is telling her, last year, she did the same thing to one of my friends who was a defensive midfielders, a position on, I think, football team. And this was her way of getting revenge. Like, she liked him, he said no to her, and she lashed out this way by taking the attention from his party that he had, or whatever event he was hosting. Alright. Whew. Different people lash out in different ways with their stress and their need for attention, you know? Some less classy than others. Poppy, you ready to go? Poppy, you ready to go? Isabella asks me. I feel like we've reached peak Taylor. Where are we going? Asks Travis. Well, so much for being alone with her. Uh-oh. The Sanderson house? Oh wait, the Sanderson house, says Isabella matter-of-factly. I have a spirit board. She winks at me, and my insides flutter. Your mom will be so pissed, Travis whispers to me with a smile. Katie lets out a high-pitched shriek of laughter. Then glances in my direction and away. Cider spills over my wrist, and I look down, shocked to find that I've crushed my cup without realizing it. Okay, point taken. Let's go, says Travis, extracting the paper cup. I scramble for napkins to dry the floor. Juan gallantly mops the last of the cider from my arm with the edge of his cloak. We all look up when Katie walks towards us, her squad gathered around her in a defensive formation. Is that a soccer thing? I ignore her and tell myself she's going to breeze past, but then she actually stops short of me. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Juan take a step back, like he's afraid of being tailored a second time. Oh, yeah, poor Juan. I wonder if he's going to join the party. As we've learned, these things usually happen in 3 humans, and maybe a onlooking furry ally, potentially, but anyway, let's go. Let's keep it going. I see you're a basic witch, Katie tells me. Cute. But her tone of voice suggests she actually's over it. I eye her soccer uniform. And you're offensive? I ask. Nice one, Pops, I hear Travis whisper. I'm a fullback from the dead, Katie says, deadpan. Well, deadpan, okay, so she would say it more like this. I'm a fullback from the dead, Katie says, deadpan. Behind me, Isabella actually cracks up. Katie shoots her a disdainful look, then turns back to me. I'm surprised you're not hiding from the Sanderson sisters. I hear they're back, and they're hungry for Denison blood. Her friends giggle at her joke. What are you talking about, Katie? Juan asks. He's trying to protect me by calling her bluff, not realizing that this opening is exactly what she's been waiting for. Oh, Poppy hasn't told you? Her family believes in witches and zombies. Like, they legit think they brought the Sanderson sisters back from the dead 25 years ago. Her friends erupt into hyena laughter. Jenny gives Katie a high five. Score! I feel my face grow scarlet. Stop, I say, but it comes out in a hoarse whisper. I look around to make sure my mom and dad are nowhere near shot. Luckily, they're off in the corner by the crackling fire, hand in hand and giving each other their classic love eyes and a kiss. Still no sign of Aunt Danny. If you think her family's so nuts, why are you here? Travis asks Katie. To live stream the freak show, of course, says Katie, waving her phone. My fans love it. Standards for entertainment in Salem are low. Hey, starts Isabella, stepping between Katie and me. Is something the matter here? Oh, excuse me. Is something the matter here? The clipped voice belongs to none other than Principal Taylor, Katie's father, whom I'm surprised to see standing behind me. He looks me in the eyes, and I see some expression flicker over his face when he no doubt notices the intense expression etched on mine. But I can't figure out what he's thinking. Katie, go get some cider, he commands coolly. That's what passes for cider here? No thanks, she says. The venomous hasn't left her voice. Besides, I was just catching up with Bella. She fakes a nice smile. Ugh, can't stand making those smiles. Isabella, she corrects, shaking her head. Her eyes are sharp and clouded, like there's a storm raging behind them. It's a look I haven't seen from Isabella before, like a warning siren in glare form. And we're not tight, Katie. For a second, I actually think I see Katie wince. She stares back at Isabella like she wants to say something to set the score straight. My gaze flickers between the two of them. Bella? Katie called her. That's new. Katie rolled her eyes. Sure, she replies to her dad. Whatever you say. She turns and her squad parts behind her to let her lead them to the other side of the living room. Principal Taylor stays put. He studies my face for another second, a long, dark stare that's full of what can I only guess is hate. Seriously, what's his deal? What have I ever done to him? He turns suddenly on his heel and practically glides out of my house. Those standing closest to the door look over but quickly turn back to their conversations. Let's get out of here, I whisper to my friends. Yes, let's, seconds Travis. I look over at Juan and my other classmates, who are watching me with concern. But are they worried because of the way Katie treated me or because of what she said? Do they all think I'm some loser now? And I think witches are real too, like my family? Isabella leads us back to the kitchen, then holds up her spirit box. Sanderson house? Travis adjusts his stethoscope uncomfortably. I can tell he wants to get me out of here before I start screaming at Katie. But I also know my parents have his parents on speed dial. And their combed wrath will not be pretty if we're caught sneaking out of a seemingly innocent party to trespass on private property. Right on the nose, darling. I glance through the open kitchen door at Katie, who's whispering to Jenny. Jeez, give it a break. Sure, I reply to Isabella. The keys are in my mom's room. Give me a minute. I climb the stairs and slip into my parents' room, using just my phone's flashlight to avoid tripping on the rug at the floor of their bed. My mom keeps the 2 keys, one for the Sanderson gate and one for the Sanderson house, in the bottom drawer of her jewelry box, which sits on the polished top of the dresser alongside some framed pictures. There's a photo of their wedding, which took place a few years ago after they both graduated from college and moved back to Salem. There's one of me as a baby, draped in a lopsided baby blanket that my Aunt Danny made out of red and yellow yarn. There's also the first and last thing she ever crocheted. There's also a framed photo of my mom and dad and Aunt Danny at Halloween, back when my parents were about my age. I pull out the jewelry box drawer and fish for the old silver keys, which are clipped to a leather key ring. They're next to my mom's favorite necklace, which she wore the night she and my dad had their first kiss. The night they woke the Sanderson sisters and sent them back to the grave, allegedly. My fingers slip over the big pearls of the necklace and the Victorian-style cameo pendant. She wore it on the wedding day, too. How could they dislike the Sandersons on Halloween so much if they brought them together? How can my mom be so afraid of all those things if she doesn't mind keeping this necklace around to remind herself of them? Betty didn't seem to dislike Halloween or costumes or the idea of magic in this photo. In fact, they look so happy to be alive and together on this holiday. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only reason they've held back on the pumpkins and cauldrons and dancing skeletons all these years. I know I should head back downstairs before I get caught, but instead I pick up the photo and hold my phone's flashlight a little closer to the glass. Danny was 8 or 9 then, and in the photo, she's wearing a blue Empire waist dress with cap and sleeves. My dad is in full Peter Pan attire, complete with green tights and feathered felt cap. My mom, who has her hair in a ballerina bun, is wearing a short green dress with fairy wings. In the picture, my dad's on one knee with Danny balanced on his propped up leg, and my mom's crouching down to get in the frame. Her left arm is draped over my dad's shoulders, and her right crosses his chest, holding him tight. She's beaming at the camera, but he's only got eyes for her. I believe in fairy tales about as much as I believe in witches, but I always wanted someone who would look at me the way my dad looks at my mom in that picture, the way he still looks at her, even when they think I'm ignoring them. I think about Travis teasing me about Isabella making eyes at me today at lunch. Sometimes I don't know if I'll ever find someone who makes me as happy as my parents make each other. And the idea of that makes me so sad, like feeling a loss without knowing exactly what I'm missing. I put the photo back on my mom's dresser just where I found it, make sure I've shut her jewelry box without disturbing anything, and slip back into the dark hallway and down the stairs, but not before grabbing Mom's bright red vintage coat off of a hanger. So what if they were going to the Sanderson house during a blood moon? Magic isn't real. And besides, we'll be back before anyone even knows we're gone. Not a lot could go wrong, but a lot could go right. And then, who knows what'll happen? I kind of can't wait to find out. Ooh-wee. Famous last words, Poppy. Well, it's obviously not the last words. Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Okay, well, 40 minutes in. And let's see, we will have time for one more chapter, and then I will skedaddle because the phone call a little while ago was my mother, and I definitely want to call her back. And anyway, so I'm going to take a 5-minute break or so. Hope to see you back real soon. I advise you, if you are lurking about, just go get some water, and I'll see you back in just a moment or two. In the meantime, ignore this ad. It's hashtag for the kids, and see you in a moment. Alright, thank you so much for your patience. And I think that transitioned smoothly. And oh goodness, I just realized I had two different songs playing at once. I had forgotten that this Be Right Back screen has its own Raven's Gold music. Anyway, yeah, so we have transitioned the music back over, and I'll return now. Hello, I'm back. You are now hearing, as said in chat, medieval pirate music, the Jolly Roger Celtic Fantasy by Raven's Gold. And link is in the chat if you'd like to check it out for yourself. And anyway, yeah, let's keep things going and spooky. I'm just gonna do another quick swig. Work on getting back into character a bit. One of the secrets to doing different voice acting, or voices for voice acting, is getting into the moment. Readying yourself, take a break, so listening to your mind and your body when you need it, come back to it. Oh dear, I am unfortunately noticing a little choppiness. This is not good. Oh dear. All right.